Good evening from beautiful, beautiful day in Delhi. It's absolutely a beautiful day, and I'm going to just show you what's in front of me as well. I can find my button. No, that's not the right button. Is that it? Yes. So you can see. Hi, Sabah. Okay, so this is the beauty of Delhi, which is rare to find this kind of beauty and this kind of silence in Delhi. But behind me is a statue of a gentleman who we all know, and this is a building called Jawahar Bhawan in Delhi. Right in front of me is Shastri Bhavan, where the Ministry of Culture has their headquarters. And here what I have today to show you is an exhibition of about 42 artists, and it's called Moments and Collapse. And yesterday when I was here for its opening, it was lively, it was cheeky, it was mad, the energy was amazing. You had every artist in Delhi here, and quite a few well-known artists are going to be, you'll see their works inside once I get inside. But I just thought this beauty outside and this nature outside was a very important start to this. There are a lot of steps out here. So I'll watch my step as I walk up, and you look at Jawaharlal Nehru letting go of a few birds at Jawahar Bhawan. And actually, before I start the exhibition, I'm going to show you something else which I think you're going to like. Which is basically what you're going to see first is the way this place was decorated, which is with M.F. Hussein's paintings. So this is part of the decorations of Jawahar Bhawan, and I think it's kind of important to look at that as well. You don't change the course of history by turning the faces of portraits to the wall. I think that says a lot. Time is not measured by the passing of years, but by what one does, what one feels, and what one achieves. There is a playground. I'm not going into that. I'm here to show you art. So these immense murals by M. Hussein, which are worth looking at and emulating. Famous horses.
Making the alphabets out of meat.
और जब बीच में बहुत lynching हो रही थी ना, I still remember art fair के time. This was much different, but art fair हो रहा था.
So that was some of this murals on the walls from Hussein. And now we're going to look at Moments and Collapse, an exhibition by SAHMAT, curated by Gigi. I'll get you to the other side where you can read what this exhibition is about. But I'm now going to go find Gigi, who is, he's been an artist for about 25 years. Gigi, can I have you now? Thank you. Gigi Scaria has been an artist for 25 years. He's studied first at Trivandrum and then at Jamia, and then taught, worked with Coach, What else? In Lax Scholar, works in solo exhibition in Melbourne and China, as far as I know.
In many places.
Many places. And is this your first curational?
This is the second curation, I would say. First, I had a section in Kochi Musiris Binale. We had an associate project with them where I did one with other two colleagues of mine.
Okay.
I just curated a Kerala artist show there, which was a few years back during the Kochi Musiris Binale time. This is the second time I'm doing a curatorial project.
And tell us more about this exhibition.
Well, this is actually when it started because I also associate with SAHMAT as an artist-led initiative. Those who are actually prone to reacting to the current political scenario. I mean, they have been doing that. It's also an artist-led initiative, and artists would always contribute for the cause. That is how the SAHMAT has been working for the last many years, ever since it has formed after Safdar Hashmi's, brutal murder, and then the artists have all, came together to form this group. And the SAHMAT has always been politically active, and as well as they were also at the same time they were artist collective, so they were also responding through the artwork more than anything else. So that was the platform in which they kind of initiated a conversation with me at one point of time when we decided to have a venture together to do a show, predominantly art show. That is how it all came about. So then we had what would be the theme of the curatorial intervention was then, that is when we thought, I thought, we should actually talk about the time in which we live and how artists would react and respond to the kind of turbulence in which we are in now, and politically and environmentally and all other aspects of migration and movement and even weather, climate change. So many aspects of our life is completely connected with the present condition, which is very uncertain at some point, even in terms of political understanding. So all that was kind of coming into my mind when I was thinking about a curatorial framework of this show.
That's a lot.
How it started.
That's really a lot.
Because it's also then you are actually approaching almost like 50 artists. We send the invitation, and almost 45 are here in this show, and they all responded differently, because that was the whole idea, that it's not just about one particular theme, and there is a multi-folded layers of understanding about time, because time is also an abstract concept. So I thought of, how actually artists will react to it. So this is an outcome of that.
Perfect. So 43 artists. I don't know how long internet will work for us. So could you lead us through what you think is the most...
So this is one entrance. In fact, this place is quite... having a show in the Jawahar Bhawan is a little tricky because of we have got a large corridor space, but also split in the middle, and it also has so many huge big glass windows through which the light passes. So we had to make it a gallery space, was a little extra effort, and we couldn't also touch any of the existing walls, so we had to create a separate walls freestanding, and we have kind of made two cubic space within this space, and that is how we started off. So as when you enter and you see the first section where on your right is Parag, who is an artist based in Baroda, and what you see here is the hands of the workers, those who have, and you can see, when I was talking about the time as a factor, then he said that, this is something which I would associate it with about time, that the wrinkles and the way the nails and everything changes of a body. So that was something which he was kind of, contributed in connection with time. But obviously it says a lot, and it's also hyper-realistically painted. This is not a photograph, it is purely painted artwork. And next, if we move on to, we see Vikrant Vise, who is actually had a very large show very recently in Delhi, and in Anand Gallery, and who talks about the caste issues and the how he dealt with that as a being a Dalit artist and activist. So this was one thing I also thought. In fact, this particular work was specially he has made for the show, and these 4 Ambedkar images were actually brought from the gallery where he had the show earlier, and we really wanted to have the presence of Ambedkar in the show. So that was something which I thought. And here you see Shilpa Gupta, and you probably have to go very close to see the very subtle drawings which she has done. What here happens is she's actually responding with the street protest in which people, those who are actually protesting, are getting absent in the drawing. So it's very interesting take, and she when we discussed about the time, then she thought this could be very apt to this particular show. And here you see Veer Munshi, who also has is from Kashmir and has deals with the politics and involvement in so many levels in Kashmiri, being a Kashmiri and living in Delhi for the last many years. And so you see the kind of usage of rice paper on top of it, and the letters, which is Urdu text. I mean, it's a mix of many things, and also the agony he represent through the drawings, and the drawing is very powerful in terms of I would say it's a kind of a personal cry which come through the artwork. It reminds of many aspects of Kashmir's politics as well. Here it is Sumedh Rajendran, who is also a Delhi-based artist, works with many mediums, and he also has a lot to do with the migratory aspects of people and the ongoing. His works are more philosophical in its take, and here you can see the shadow lines of a group of people who sometimes get into the you see the falls of the people as well. It's like the shadows can be fallen, and where you lead to in the transition of migratory an existence of a human being. That's something which I would say about his work. Here you see Yogesh Ramakrishna, who has done a very extensive painting, and also a sculpture which is kind of.
How does this fit in?
This is part of the work. He wanted it to be put and opposite to there is a sculpture here, and it's actually looking at the painting in one sense. It's a kind of extension of the work he has created.
So why is one side a mirror and one side a face?
And the tongue as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So obviously it has it associated meanings, as well as the way the mirror is placed. I think it's partially slashed, at the same time a reflection comes when you look at it. And here it is Gagi. It's also based in Baroda. And here you can also see Lekha Narayan, who is here. She's the artist.
Hi.
So she could also tell.
Could you please? Yeah, I'm surrounded by the artists from the show, it seems. Could you tell us a little bit about this work?
Yeah, I'm working usually with the kitchen, articles in the kitchen, and here I have a cat, an orange cat, little symbolic, kind of running away with the fish, and also creating some kind of disturbance in the kitchen. Vessels are falling, glass, water, everything. And I have a plate which is again breaking apart down there. So I'm making some reference to our Indian flag as well.
Thank you.
Making a comment on the present situation.
Thank you.
You can see overall, if you look at it, it's a flag's color is kind of embedded.
Now that you mention
And,
it, yes.
Yeah, then
And the chakra, don't miss the chakra.
and come to this side, it's Anita Dubey. She has this is one of her earlier work in which this is part of the performance where she actually cut the meat to make these words which actually put together to make meaning. So in connection with some of these earlier issues of consumption of meat and other things which had a real issues in the country and which were referred to that, and come to Pushpamala, where you could see this one as motherland, where she's referring to as it's also part of the performance. She did, the sense performance, here it is, she performed with a photographic, in order to get an attire with the photograph made. And the next video is where she is performing one of the activists who was killed, Gauri Langesh, who happened to be her neighbor, and they were close friends. And whenever they used to come to get together and all, then she used to cook a meal which was called saru. So in fact, after her kind of tragic death, she performed this particular dish in this Bharat Mata attire. So it is kind of it took almost, I think it's an hour-long performance where she actually cooked this dish and distribute. That is how this was done, and she has done many such performances about Gauri Langesh.
I'm just getting the menu down. There is a menu somewhere, but I can't seem to
There
get
is a
it down.
menu written on that,
Behind it.
which obviously, initially, because now its performance is on. Move on to Archana Hande, and she is here actually using the security tags in order to create these different kind of clothes items, which is kind of she's kind of juxtaposing the idea of security and the concerns, and also something which you wear. It's a kind of juxtaposition of these two in a quirky, interesting manner, humorous as well. And here you see these three works. There's one installation, and there's two drawings and another sculpture by Niroj Satpathy, who extensively worked on the issues of landfill, where he himself was an employee. He still worked there. I think that he has been working in the landfill area, where most of these sculptures and things were objects he found there, and which actually made it into installations, and which in one sense landfill has all the thrown away stuffs and millions of things which is unwanted for the human beings at present condition, but then they make it use in different ways, and waste in the sense of the least bothered waste. You also make use of waste, and the garbage dumped in the landfill is the waste which no one wants. So he has used these to make a relevant artwork, which obviously has that also represents some of our time, how we actually dealt with nothingness, or those who have very little to survive. In that sense, here you see Shakuntala Kulkarni, two interesting subtle drawings, and Ohida, another artist, a young artist, and this is Josh P.S., who also talks about the position of geography in terms of dealing with the idea of justice and the fluidity of the borders which we talk about. And when we come here is Chandan Gomez, who is also a photographer and writer. He has used his personal albums where his mother is portrayed in this, and mother had memory loss at one point of time, and he's kind of associating that with his own personal journey to Kashmir, which he is not from there, but associating that certain kind of memory and the landscape, how in his life he dealt with in connection with his mother's memory loss. Here you see Vasudha Toyu's two works. One is a video and the other one is a painting. She's also a painter and she does initiate a lot of community projects and she teaches as well. And the video is mostly about I think it was done in 2005 onwards in different times, where she kind of clicked many images on the way to the Sabarmati ashram, where the signboards have been changing over a period of time, which was also looking at the time in a very different manner. And here this painting has it says the colors of blood, where you see the media when they actually show the blood stains, then they always have the pixelation. So it's in one sense referring to that, and also an artist studio where she's probably in terms of her own self is positioned in that. And another young artist, Harsh Kumar. These are the cyanotype photographic prints, which he is also a performer, and some of these are also performance then photographed and made into a cyanotype.
Are you playing with the Hussains at all that are up there?
Well, it's very interesting that we are not directly connecting that, but it's that presence we will never miss it. So it's in a very predominantly kind of positioning
overarching, yes,
overarching, and it's actually giving a very interesting in-depth to whatever we are doing down there here. So it's also an interesting connection.
Yeah, and you kind of wonder, are we in a worse place? Are we in a better place where I would say that 20 years he was our main artist in India,
yes,
and then he had to go into exile.
He had to go and he had to be exiled, and now he is not celebrated in India at all. Now interestingly, Kiran Nada Museum is doing a show on Hussain in Venice right now.
Exactly.
Which is just on last week. Yeah. So we are celebrating some of our artists abroad than in India. And this is Ram Rahman, who actually essentially a street photographer and who has done fantastic works for many years. And this particular one, he is kind of superimposed in one sense. It's not super. Yeah, these are the street pictures of the leaders of our national importance, and it's kind of superimposed on one of the Nehru statue, which is almost like collapsed and on the ground. So it actually says many things in terms of the way even look at the wall paintings, which has actually been completely eroded its the potential and has become very much in lines. And here it is Vineet Gupta, who is also a photographer, and here he has actually, he deals with issues mostly with the mining and the landscape and the land. People, those who work on the land and their own land, how it actually been taken away in various circumstances. And with this video, he's also playing an interesting folk song behind it, and it's more like he treated this as a video work rather than a still image photography. This is Jahangir Aksar Jani, who is who's based in Bombay, and who's also a gay as well as a Muslim, and two things together has made so his personal experience of being a gay and Muslim at the same time in the country is something which is very much there in the work. Moving on to
Ghulam Sahib.
Ghulam Sheikh, and he was he obviously had a very big show recently, and still he contributed a work for SAHMAT, and this is an amazing work by him.
So, I mean, I can tell at the center there's almost a broken building, which then is going outwards.
Going outwards, and I think he's talking about it in one sense. You can see that there is things falling apart is the kind of mood you get from the drawing. And this is Prabhagar Pajpute, who's also directly connect with the various political issues are part of his work. And what I find amazing in his work is that he kind of take the old Russian poster, or kind of the revolutionary style of drawing and painting, and kind of giving a new depth to it by using very interesting contemporary imageries, using this similar kind of attire.
But wasn't Russian, I don't know, I'm asking, wasn't it more propaganda?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, but here it is slightly different, and the way that because it's already an existing language of the propaganda, which then people use so many narratives and so many fold of it, and where you actually refer to certain kind of propaganda, then that propaganda was also against something else. It's not just about one propaganda. It's also against maybe something which you try to block or defend on the other hand. So that kind of aspect is always there, involved in talking about talking about any kinds of idealistic position, I would say. But I think he has used these elements very interestingly in a new light, I would say, and it has a contemporary, depth, and when you use an old language to rephrase your time, that's very much reflected in these works. And this is Mithu Sen, who actually has, in fact, interestingly, reciprocated to the aspects of time in this work. And there is, as you can see, there is a clock, a timepiece, which is there, which at the same time she also does the dot through which pierce the paper, and the lot of pores and coming out in order to create the movement of different aspects. I think it also has the spontaneity, and it's more like an artist would think while working, kind of an atmosphere to this. And move on to Amol K. Patil, who's very interesting set of drawings and one sculpture here.
Okay, I can see a deep sea diver. I can see fish skeletons.
Yeah.
I can see what looks like a sea urchin.
Yeah, these are different elements of sculptural elements. In fact, it's bronze piece, and what he actually also did, these are he has kept these 2-3. When you think about the wax method in which you make the bronze sculpture, and you also have runners going through which actually the metal goes in. So here what he has done is that he has taken the runners as it is with the sculpture. So you see the process itself within the sculptural element.
So I've got to ask you a question. Yesterday I had two very opposing experiences. One was when I came here and I found it just full of students. There seemed to be a tremendous amount of students, and I don't know if they were, many of the artists may be teachers and these are their students, or whether the students just found the place and came. And then I was at a party where I was talking to a professor who said that her experience is that there are no longer classes being held in the universities, and that's mainly because the students don't want to study and the teachers don't want to teach, so there's this lack. So how are we explaining the students being so wanting this thirst of knowledge while at the same time not being interested in going to class?
No, I think also the first part, there are two things you were asking. One is about the crowd which turned out yesterday here.
Yes.
was it all student. I think most of the youngsters, they were genuinely interested in what's going on, would be one. Along with also few of the artists are, professors or lecturers in different universities and their associates. And there are so many, and few of the young artists also part of the show were also invited more youngsters of their generation. Okay. So that was one thing, scenario. And in terms of, I see that more and more this outdoor class, especially today was also, there were few students who were supposed to come from one university, which for some reason it didn't happen. But I have a feeling that students would really enjoy this initiative to take a tour for, it's not just about the art exhibitions, even if for sightseeing and visit and some historical places to go and visit, and some of the historical things which exist in the city, how you actually encounter and see that it's always rather than looking at the pictures on your textbook, you go out and experience, and the teachers may have so many other things to explain while you are in the site. So that aspect works in a much more interestingly these days, and students are quite for it. I can see that, and many places the universities have this liberated nature in which they would come out with the students to at least once in a week for different places, and that's part of it.
Thank you. This is, you understand?
You can stop now, continue.
We don't have very far, I don't think.
So this is...
Unless you're busy.
No, it's okay. This is Arun HG.
Who's here?
One here as well, that Akshay Sethi, who actually has interestingly engaged in Lathi, more like a... he's working on it as more like a research, where he was, in this particular work, he was actually portraying different times when the women who actually raised their voice against the atrocities done by the police. So most of these pictures are taken, most of these imageries are taken from the actual events took place in different times in resistance movements in recent past in India. Here you would see Arun Kumar HG, and he is also very much involved in the environmental issue-based artwork. And here you see a big, huge elephant with a kind of structure which has got stone and wood and other, and it's mostly all of these are found objects and materials which he has used. He doesn't want to make something new from out of creating the material for that. It's the materials were found, which then put together to make a giant elephant along with a structure. In one sense, he is trying to say that the nature and the structure which we make as somewhat, it actually has a coexistence. If one collapses, the other will definitely follow. So that's somehow reflected in this work. And here it's Shailesh Diyar, who works a lot with the kinetic aspects, and this particular one, this is more like a participatory work, and here he has made these wax flowers which you put in this, and this is a melting pot where if you put this in, then it slowly it has an apparatus which is connected to the system where it gets heated and melted down, So it's in one. He also works a lot of interesting philosophical concepts. So one way it is also about the impermanent nature of whatever we find dear to us is kind of it can also melt down. So that's very timely in that sense. When he was responding to the time bit in it. And this is Rakhi Paswani. Here she has actually used two kinds of material. One is velvet and one is jute. And but basically putting this together to create some kind of, you can also see it as more like a landscape or as wound.
Yeah, it looked like gunshots.
So the landscape and wound goes hand in hand with in so many other aspects of when we talk about the politics of the land. So that is how, and this is Sudhir Padwarthan, and I think it mostly deals with the violence in the social system in this particular very interesting evocative drawing, and especially made for this when kind enough to be a part of this show. I'm so happy that Sudhir is in this. And this is Murli Chirot, who actually has done two works. One is a video which actually talks about, in both it is what you see, the devastated Palestine is what you see, bombarded for the last 6 months and crumbled into pieces, and it again you see the slogans and all kinds of catchy words which is coming onto the image as more like a tick tick tick. It also represents time in a very very urgent manner. It's a collage he has made with different imageries of the war field put together. And here you see Anupam Roy, who has actually extensively done a huge big panel of drawing, which is about 33 feet long, and represents a lot of animal figures, and in a way it's also connected to the very spontaneous act of being responding to the environment in one sense, I would say. When you see the kind of primordial aspects of lizards and so many creatures are part of it. It's also in a way somehow reflecting onto the idea of maybe Pralay in one sense, the end of the world, or it's the beginning of the species, and it's a connotations of different things falling in a large scroll. And this is video work as part of his work. It's kind of connected, and he's also involved in certain political activities, and there's a group of people those who are associated with his work, and they were like they have created a group. They do different interesting works in that field. And here it is Sanjay Sharma, who actually, what you see is the newspaper cutting to make it more like a drainage, but in a way he is referring to the media in this present condition. And here you see Rajendra Arora, who's actually taken a street shot, which is so interesting and apt, and it's a kind of surrealist imagery in a sense that you see these milestones with the danger sign on it. And come to Orijitsen, who is has actually made an interesting poster kind of artwork. Excuse me.
I have really made you talk a lot today, haven't I?
Who has deals with these issues of resistance since a very long time, and is very politically active artist. And here it is Anup Ray, who also does majorly photography, and here it's more like a collage. He put together about two different house, and how it is kind of, it's also, I think it's just opposing the traditional versus the more like the urban units which formed later. And comes to Samit Das, he mostly his works is he's interested mainly in architectural forms and aspects of architecture in connection with the kind of bookmaking and part of the construction in one sense of the way you can look at a book and flip through it and see the shapes and contours of the architecture, how it converted into personal making. So it's kind of it looked like more like a plan, an urban space, and it has that very subtle element of poetry and drawing quality. Here comes Vicky Roy, who is also works in photographs, and here he has actually visited many of the schools in Delhi, I suppose, and in different parts they would have so there are written the students have written their names in Urdu, Sanskrit, Hindi, and different language respectively in different schools, which he has kind of interacted with the students. He obviously has a connection with the young kids a lot, and it appears a lot in his works.
So these are so sweet.
And here comes Adul Bhalla, who's one large work which talks about he also dealt a lot with the environmental issues and water and politics regarding that, and the river is another aspect he works with. And this is takeaway bags, which you could also take one. It has he has written truth was the other side. It's Sach Tha in Hindi, and so it's one side it is truth, the other side was. So it's also in one sense.
Thank you.
You can have one. In one sense, it talks about the way the time plays and the tricks about the value system which we are in.
But at the same time, this is rather consumerist, isn't it? Because everyone wants a free bag.
Yeah, absolutely. It refers that as well. Yeah, and it's he has got quite a lot. And yesterday, I mean, whoever had come here, all of them had gone for sure. And moving on to is Benita Pasil. She's a Chennai-based artist. What you see here is this is kind of a house which is split in two, and inside there are figurines made out of very fragile material and also some stones. So it's in one sense it's called, the house looked more like a cascade. At the same time, it also has the fragile existence of human forms inside. So then come to Ravi Agarwal. Here it is, the title is After the Flood, where I think it's Yamuna plains after the flood. He's also an extensively documentary photographer in one sense, other than all his involvement in environmental politics, which is a major part of his works, and everything goes into that direction. And these are a set of photographs he has offered, which we thought we could actually put together to make this area more like stone and land, and interacting each other with this particular set of imageries. Here you see the Pablo Bartolomeo's photographic work, and what you see here is the demolition of Babri Masjid when he witnessed it, and the next morning shot where we see the big huge chunks of pieces of the site has been taken away from the site, and here is another photograph where it was taking place. And so we thought it's especially for him, it was very important to show this picture in order to see that how the changing and shifting environment in our present India, and it has its own relevance, and maybe it had happened long back, and youngsters have no clue what was it. So it's in one sense, it's also a large image of this. No one could easily associate it, those who have not known the history of that particular aspect of the incident. So I think with this...
Thank you. Take a breath. Also,
so this is the whole show, and I would, kind of...
How long did it take?
Suggest people to come and watch this, and it's on for more than 2 months now, almost.
20th May, I think.
20th May was initially, I think we are getting extended maybe for 1 more month.
Okay.
So it will be on for some time. And it took quite a lot of planning and connection. It's maybe more than 6 months we have been working on it. And put together and, inviting artists and responding to them. And mostly because it's not, we planned it more like a solid show, not just like an immediate reaction to a political, one political act or event. So therefore it contains quite different levels of reflections of artists from their side, their part. It's not just about a reactionary element to it. It is more about art. Each artist have their own way. They thought through the time which they are in. So the reflections are not just an immediate reaction to any political comment. It's more about their own personal life, is how it associated with the world we are in, and the reflections of that is part of the show.
And is there any piece or any pieces which speak to you in particular that...
No, I think, it's since I'm the curator.
You're not allowed to have a choice.
Every one of it speaks to me. That is why it's all here. And it actually extends, because there are many more things which we couldn't incorporate because of also the time constraint as well as the space constraint. So it could have been there could be many more of the same kind of show with different set of artists at the same time.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Gigi. Really kind of you. And the pop quiz of remembering every one of your 42 or 43 artists.
45 artists.
45 artists. So that's quite a bit as well. Thanks, Gigi.